Sisu 2, Road to Revenge, or just Sisu Road to Revenge, is a Finnish action movie from year 2025 this year, and it was directed by Jalmari Helander. And I'm a Finnish guy, like this movie is a Finnish film, so I wanted to give you my opinions, my review in English too. I already did a review in my Finnish channel a couple of weeks back. Here I have the first Sisu movie, and I have this cool transparent slip box on this great looking steel book, and this is from Lionsgate from United States, and I had this as a donation from my Finnish watcher Michael. Greetings to Michael. This is a very cool looking box set, and I have watched this a couple of times, and it's a very strange thing to see like a Finnish action movie, because there has been not too many Finnish action movies, and I think this is a great in its own category. Not the greatest action movie ever, but for the people who, for example, like John Wick, so this may be like a very exotic take on John Wick, kind of this very straightforward overkill style of action, and CGI gore and lots of CGI effects, because it's a newer movie. This is from year 2023. I myself like more like a practical effects, but nowadays everything is done with CGI. But I think it has drive, it has great performances, and very kind of this hard-edged action. But it is very hard R action movie, if you get my point. You know, people are getting shot from left and right and getting cut with the axes and knives and whatnot and blown to pieces. So it's a great fun. It's a very like a novelty to have a Finnish action movie. So I would rate this 4 out of 5 stars. I also saw this back in the day in the theaters and enjoyed it very much. But now there's a sequel, and yes, I went to see it right at its Finnish premiere. We went there with Apache, and both of us like it very much, but let me go a little bit in more detail. So first of all, what is Sisu? So Sisu basically means, it's a Finnish word for this kind of like a mindset that you have like a guts, lots of guts to do something. So, but basically it's more than guts. It's more like essence of somebody doing something impossible, and somebody being in this very like a very overpowered position and getting strong and getting away from that position. That is Sisu, and basically Sisu is a kind of good name for an action movie. And the first movie, it took place in the Lapland during the end of Second World War, where the Nazis were occupying the Lapland and Finnish soldiers were driving them away from there. And our main character Aatami had to fight against the Nazis who were leaving the Lapland and basically killing every Nazi in sight. But in this movie, this is not set in the Lapland, this is set in Karelia, the peninsula of Karelia, which was the part of Finland that the Soviets took over at the end of the Second World War. So our hero, played by Jorma Tommila, Aatami, so basically he is from that region of the Finland, from Karelia, and he goes back to his home territory, and he has like a family cabin there. It's like an old abandoned cabin, and he has such fond memories from that cabin. So he goes there with his dog, driving a truck, and with a fake ID enters the Soviet Union, and then he starts to dismantle this house and loads the logs on his truck and tries to drive away from the Soviet Union. And in the meantime, we get to introduce this guy played by Stephen Lang, and he was this kind of like a war criminal called Ivan Draganov. A war criminal who has, during the war, he has killed Aatami's parents and was his little kid brother or something, and so there's like a very deep grudge. And for some reason, Stephen Lang, Ivan Draganov, is it like a homage to Rocky IV? Ivan Draganov, Draganov. Maybe it is. I didn't think about this when I read my memos. That maybe it's an homage to Rocky IV. That's kind of cool. But so Ivan Draganov, for some reason, he wants Aatami dead very badly. So he gains like control of this Soviet, I don't know, division of soldiers, tanks and guns and men and even airplanes, and he's directing them to chase Atami. And the first action scene is like a truck scene, basically the reminiscent, reimagined scene from the Raiders of Lost Ark. If you remember the scene where the Nazis are driving the truck with the Ark of Covenant, and Indy tries to snatch that truck that carries the Ark of Covenant. It's kind of reimagining that scene. And it's great. It has lots of blood flying around. People are shot and ran over with trucks, and I think I have forgotten like a half of the gore scenes, which this film includes. This includes lots of gory scenes, and people who love like violent, over-the-top, gory movies will absolutely love this Sisu 2 also. I have absolutely no doubt about that. So that is the first scene, and it kind of ends with this cool scene where this airplane from above is dropping bombs, and this like a barn explodes, and then the airplane is like raiding towards the truck and busting away with its machine guns, and then Atami puts like couple of logs. He tries to do like this kamikaze maneuver to run like a plane towards the truck, but Atami takes a couple of logs and put them ahead of the logs, so the plane kind of flies in the air and explodes. Okay, so that told me that, Sisu 1, this was by no means, this was a realistic movie, no fucking way. But this is even more unrealistic movie, so that was kind of fun scene, but very over the top. But I think the major disappointment with this movie is like it's many times it is too over the top. It starts to feel like a cartoon, like a Wile E. Coyote Roadrunner cartoon. But let me continue with that. So basically, that was the first action scene, and then there's the second action scene, which takes place. He kind of makes a raft with these logs. I mean, first of all, it would be impossible to survive that crash into the ocean, but he makes a raft and takes the logs with them, and then he finds like a broken tank. Broken Russian tank, and somehow he is able to fix that and loads the logs on this tank, and then film becomes even more incredible. I don't want to go too much into the spoilers here, but there's a scene where the tank, flies to the air and flips over to the other side of this barrier. And then I was like, oh man, this is very silly. This is very freaking silly. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. Probably this is meant to be also like a comedy. This has not been made as a serious action movie or a realistic action movie. No, sir. Yeah. But the final scene without getting into too many, spoilers, Atami is taken prison and taken into this huge train, and he's tortured by Stephen Lang's Ivan Dragunov character. And that torture scene, it's very brutal, very gory and kind of nasty. So basically, I don't know how this man is able to endure this much torture, but he's Finnish guy. He got Sisu, he got guts. So he is just putting his mindset towards something, so he can basically conquer this, pain, and he can conquer even his own death, all this blood loss and all that. Fuck all that shit. He goes on, and basically the final scene in the train, I think this is the best action scene. It even has some like a stealth action when the Atami is going to this one train, which is filled with this sleeping Russian soldiers. So basically he has to sneak through these beds and without getting caught and without waking anybody up. That was the most interesting scene in this film for me. But then, yeah, after this kind of brutal action scene and a kind of interesting stealth mission, we got this scene where the don't ask me why, I ain't gonna spoil it for you, but our main character is riding a missile. Yeah, I don't shit you not. Yeah, no sir, he's riding a missile to get the bad guy, and then there's a brutal fight, and yeah, I think at least 100 people get killed in this movie with bloody shootouts and with knives and axes and whatnot. So it's an entertaining superhero movie with lots of violence and cartoonish violence and very little plot. This film has even less plot than the first one. This didn't have too much. It was like a kind of this one situation movie, when you know, like a raid redemption. In the previous film, the first one, there was this kind of like a female liberator fighters or prisoners that he helped to escape from the Nazis. This film doesn't even have that. And I'm kind of glad that this doesn't have those extra characters. Maybe they maybe they got complaints about this, that they really don't need to be in this film. And I do agree. The ladies in that film, they were kind of unnecessary, you know, addition, you know, to bring more characters. But this doesn't have any of that. It is one guy against 200 Russian soldiers. And hey, this one had Nazis as their enemies. I really love the fact that this time we are against Russians, because that is more like a contemporary situation. So if you're a fan of over-the-top, cartoonishly violent action, I can wholeheartedly recommend Sisu Road to Revenge for you. It's fun. It's kind of goofy, but yeah, it's entertaining. And I can say for sure that this is got to be a better movie than most of the movies coming out this fall. Because yeah, the roster of movies that especially that have come out from Hollywood has not been that great. But Sisu is a fun ride. It doesn't like try to be like try to give you any message. No, it tries to give you entertainment and action and excitement. And if you don't mind the, you know, overly cartoonish element, and if you don't mind it being very similar to the first one, so then I think you will have a good time. I would rate Sisu Road to Revenge, so I will just call it Sisu 2, because yeah, here the name in Finland, it was Sisu 2, because it was a very famous movie here, but not so much in foreign territories. But Sisu 2, I will rate it. I would have to say that, yeah, it is kind of like missing the novelty value of this first one, and this I rated 4 out of 5. I would say that it is 3.5 out of 5 stars, the review. And I am really looking forward what the director Jalmari Helander is doing the next time, because he is currently being signed to do the First Blood remake, or the Rambo movie remake. So it's a prequel. I think it's a prequel. So kind of interested in seeing what he does, but I don't think it's necessary to do First Blood, a prequel to First Blood. What you gonna do? Everything nowadays has to be like a prequel or sequel or, you know, remake. So I guess it is just the way that things now are. But yeah, let's see what happens. And this kind of made me want to see more Finnish action movies. And hell, I just might make a whole video about those things. Let me go look for my video shelves if I can see and find some cool Finnish genre or cult or action movies, a film such as Yön saalistajat, Hunters of the Night, or maybe even Romanovin kivet, The Stones of Romanov, the classic action, and maybe even a film called NATO Commando, which is the absolute Finnish action classic. So stay tuned for that video and remember to subscribe, and catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and go see Sisu 2 Road to Revenge.